Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Fadl Rahman from Kerala, India. Today we are going to discuss the major differences between asset-backed Sukuk and asset-based Sukuk. Firstly, we can explain the definition. What is Sukuk? Sukuk, according to the IOF Sharia standard, they are defining Sukuk are certificates of equal value representing undivided shares in the ownership of tangible assets, use of and services, or in the ownership of the assets of a particular budgets or special investment activity. However, this is too often receipt of the value of the Sukuk, the closing of subscription, and the employment of funds received for the purpose for which the Sukuk were issued. This is the definition defined by IRF. Then we can, next we are defining the asset-backed Sukuk and asset-based Sukuk. Asset-backed Sukuk denotes a structure wherein complete ownership of the underlying asset is transferred. These Sukuk instruments are grounded in the concept of a true sale. And there is a true sale, and there is a complete ownership. This is important. And in the case of asset-based Sukuk, it represents the securitization of receivables characterized by a beneficial ownership in the ownership structure where the right to dispose of the underlying asset is not confirmed. And the right to dispose of underlying assets is not confirmed there, and also there is only a beneficial ownership. In this definition itself, we can understand the major differences between the both. Next, the steps in the asset-backed Sukuk. How does the asset-backed Sukuk works? Firstly, the originator will sell the Sharia compliance assets to a special purpose vehicle. SPV is the mediator between the investor and the originator. Secondly, the SPV then issues the asset-backed Sukuk to the investors. The money paid by the investors in subscribing to the asset-backed Sukuk includes the proceeds of the issuance that will be used to pay the originator in return for the sale of the asset. Then there is a sale of the assets, and they are paying. And thirdly, asset-backed Sukuk provides Sukuk holders with an undivided proportionate beneficial interest in the assets, thus permitting them to receive the streams of cash flow attached to the assets. Then they are receiving the profits attached to these assets. Then the steps in the asset-based Sukuk. How does it work? The Sukuk investors will pay Sukuk proceeds to the special purpose vehicle SPV. Then upon receiving these proceeds, the SPV then issue the Sukuk certificates to the Sukuk investors. Thirdly, the SPV will then purchase an asset from the obligor or the originator and obtains the ownership of the asset. Sharia scholars say that the term originator should be used in the case of Sukuk because the term obligor is commonly used in the case of conventional bonds. Then the originator. The SPV in its capacity as a lessor, here we are explaining the Sukuk-based, Ijara-based Sukuk. Then the SPV in its capacity as a lessor will lease through an Ijara agreement the same asset back to the obligor. Then here the SPV is in the capacity of a lessor, and the obligor in the capacity as a lessee. Then the obligor in its capacity, or the originator in its capacity as a lessee, will pay rentals to the SPV of the asset. Then finally, the rentals will be distributed back to the Sukuk holders. This is a structure in asset-based Sukuk. Regarding the legal and beneficial ownership, in the case of asset-based Sukuk, the underlying assets used for structuring the issuance remains on the balance sheet of the originator post the Sukuk issuance. In this scenario, in the case of asset-based, the originator conveys only beneficial ownership of the asset. This is important. There is only beneficial ownership of the asset to Sukuk holders. And when we come to the asset-backed, it involves a true sale and the transfer of legal ownership of the asset from the originator to the third party. Typically, it is a special purpose vehicle. Then the SPV act as an explicit trustee for the Sukuk holders, receiving fees as the Sukuk issuer. Then there is a major difference. In the case of asset based, there is legal ownership and truth sale, and in the case of asset based, there is only beneficial ownership. And recourse to the underlying asset. In the case of defaults, and more often it happens, the default happens. In these times, the asset based, in the event of default, Sukuk holders do not have recourse to the specific assets because there is no legal ownership. And then in the case of asset baker, there is Sukuk holders only have the recourse to assets. Thus, assets plays a genuine role in the defaults. Then they have the recourse to the assets directly in the asset backer because there is legal ownership. And finally, purchase undertaking while at an excess price. In the case of asset based, the purchase undertaking at par from the obligor is the ultimate and final recourse. And there is a problem of debt. This recourse, the utilization of power or under purchase undertaking in asset-based Sukuk has transformed these Sukuk instruments into debt-based instruments. Then it creates debt-based instruments. From these explanation, we can understand that the asset-backed Sukuk are more Sharia compliant than the asset-based. These Sharia issues were raised the awareness after the Mufti Taqi Usmani raised the concern of the Sharia compliance on this asset of the asset-based Sukuk. He said that the major part of the Sukuk are not Sharia compliant. Okay, anyway, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.